You are doomed to devour the wrong creeps if you don't watch this video. The Doom is one of the stronger offlaners of 727, so in this video we're going to go over all the creeps that you can devour and all the abilities that they give you, and see which ones are best in which situation. But first, let's briefly look at what Devour actually does. So it allows you to consume a creep, and if you actually have that creep for 70 seconds, you get bonus gold. So if you die before that 70 seconds is up, you don't get any bonus gold. And you also, while you're devouring this creep, get 2 HP regen at level 1 and scaling to 14 at level 4. And you're also limited in what kind of creeps you can take over. So at the beginning you can only take over level 4 creeps, then level 5 creeps level 2, and then level 6 creep at level 3 and 4. So this, for example, is a level 5 creep. You can see it down here, level 5. So I can't actually take this. But this one is a level 2 creep, so I could take it with level 1. Then you can also put this either on autocast or not. If it's an autocast, it will replace the ability that you currently gain from the creep. But if you turn it off autocast, you will keep your current ability. So let's start with the early game. In the early game, there's some creeps that are really strong with level 1 Devour. So for example, this Harpy is quite strong. It gives you this Chain Lightning ability that does quite a bit of damage, has a low cooldown, doesn't cost very much mana, only 50 mana. So this is a fairly spammable ability. Of course, still the mana cost is going to add up in the early game, so you can't spam this too much, but it can definitely be a worthwhile creep to take. Another great creep to take in the early game is this Hiltron Priest. And what he does is he has 2 things going for him. He has the heal ability and the mana aura. This is a 2.5 mana per second aura, which is very powerful, obviously. Better than level 4 Crystal Maiden aura, although of course not global, and doesn't give you any extra bonus. And then he also has the heal ability, so if you take some damage, you can heal yourself back up, and it's going to heal you 15 a pop. Cast it on yourself, cast it on allies, you can heal yourself back up, and you can also turn this in autocast, but that's very much not recommended because then your hero will just ignore commands. So I'm right clicking here now, and now it's healing, and he's just stopping to heal now. Actually ignores your commands. So that's definitely very bad. Turn off autocast. You can just cast this on yourself, and it will just keep using that ability. You can just cast it once and then just keeps healing until he's full HP. So this is a really strong ability, gives you a lot of sustain in the early game and just helps you with laning. Of course, very defensive, doesn't have any offensive capabilities, but it can be very powerful for sustain. Then another creep you can take in the early game is this Mod Golem if you have access to a medium camp. So this has the Boulder ability. The great thing about this is it doesn't cost any mana. You just cast this boulder, costs no mana. However, the boulder only does 75 damage these days, so it's not that powerful. And if you die, you also get the shard split, so you get those 2 shard golems. It also can hurl a boulder, so that's like a nice extra gimmick. So this is like an ability that costs no mana, which is quite strong, but it's not particularly powerful. Then we have another ability that's not particularly powerful. That's the Rule Assassin. What the Rule Assassin gives you is this envenomed weapon attack. This is a dot that does 2 damage per second, and it lasts for a long time, 10 seconds. But as you said, it's only 2 damage per second. But the more important component of this ability is that it has a regen reduction of 35%. So that can be quite powerful in certain situations. So if you're laning as some sort of hero that relies a lot on regen, like a Timbersaw for example, it might be kind of useful, but on the whole this is one of the weaker abilities, and not really something you typically want to take, but it's better than nothing. Also in the category better than nothing is the Ghost. This gives you a frost attack, movement speed slow and attack speed slow 25%. Lasts for 1.5 seconds, so it helps sort of keep up with people, but it is not crazy. Another group we can take over at the start is the Sato Mind Stealer. This one has a mana burn ability, which burns 100 mana on an 18-second cooldown, which is quite strong. Costs 50 mana for yourself, so basically removing twice as much mana from the opponent as you remove from yourself, as well as just doing a little bit of damage. So there's another one of these creeps that offers you like a slight amount of value. Another creep which is available at the start and can sometimes be strong is the Sato Banisher. This one gives you a purge ability which slows an enemy, but more importantly it dispels. You can cast this on enemies and allies to apply a basic dispel. And this can be useful in particular lanes, so if you're laning against Batrider for example, it puts a lot of sticky napalm stacks on you. Using this can be quite powerful, but it's also very expensive on the mana cost. It's 120 mana, very short cooldown, but it's 120 mana, and Doom of course has a really limited mana pool. So in the early game this is only useful really in some select circumstances where the spells are very strong. For the most part, this is more of a situational mid and late game kind of creep when the spells are very important, but usually the mana cost is just too high, so you typically don't really want to consume that creep. One of the stronger creeps, both in the early game and later on, is the Ogre Frost Mage. So this gives you the Ice Armor ability which you cast on yourself and your allies, and this gives you 5 armor and also applies a movement speed and attack speed slow 25% on anyone who attacks you. So this can be very powerful trading against any sort of physical damage hero in lane, and it's just useful throughout the entire game. This is a creep that you can take early on and just sort of keep for the entire game because it's so strong. Of course, depends on what kind of heroes you're facing. If you're facing primarily magic damage, this of course is a lot weaker, but against more physical damage lineups, especially against lineups that rely on summons that tend to be more affected by this attack speed slow, this can be very powerful. Then we have this little guy, the Cobalt Foreman. This one has a 12% speed aura, so if we just get rid of these boots and get more reasonable boots, phase boots, and maybe we'll have a drum. So right now we have 350 movement speed, and then we eat this creep, we're up to 392, so it gave us 42 movement speed. That is basically like getting an extra pair of boots. So this is quite a powerful aura. It's 12% movement speed. That's more than Saint Yasha gives you. So this little guy can be surprisingly powerful, and movement speed is just really good on Doom. The problem is just often it's overshadowed by other creeps, but it's definitely never a bad creep to have. In the laning stage, not that great, but it's more of a like mid-game kind of creep that can be very powerful. Then we have the cloak creeps. Both the Centaur Courser and the Helba have the same aura, the cloak aura, which gives 10% magic resistance to heroes and 20% to creeps. So this is typically not that strong. It's not a bad ability, it's just overshadowed by other ones. So typically you don't want to go for these, but they're better than nothing. And then the final creep with level 4 or lower is the Alpha Wolf. So what the Alpha Wolf gives you is a very powerful aura. It's a 30% damage bonus aura. So this gives you 30% damage bonus on your base damage, not on bonus damage. And then also gives you a critical strike ability, which is not that important because Doom's right clicks are pretty weak because he has a low base attack time and a low anti growth. So it just attacks very slowly, but still this is a nice extra bonus to have, and of course mostly it's about the pack leader's aura. This is especially strong if you have heroes that have a lot of base damage. So for example, if you have a Morphling in your game, Morphling is going to get so much bonus damage from that. So in the mid game, it's going to have something like 200 base damage, and he gets an extra 60 damage from this pack leader's aura, and the late game is going to be even higher than that. So with these particular kinds of heroes, you know, Terror Blade, Drow, these kinds of heroes, they benefit enormously from this. Also just heroes that have a lot of base damage from abilities, like Tiny, for example, gets a lot of base damage from his Grow ultimate. So these kinds of heroes benefit a lot from Pack Leader's aura, and this is just what makes this aura creep one of the strongest creeps to have in the mid and late game. But sometimes there are better creeps to take. And in particular, early on, this is not actually that great because you don't do that much regular damage at the start. So in the early game, something as humble as a Wildwing Reaper might even be better, because it gives you 3 armor aura, which is quite powerful because Doom really struggles with lack of armor at the start. And also has a tornado ability, but this one is really more of a meme, the channeling ability. And one good thing it can do is that it doesn't aggro creeps, so these creeps just ignore this. So we can use this to clear big stacks without being aggroed, but that's very rare that you're actually going to use this ability. It costs 200 mana, which is a lot for Doom, and it's channeling, so it's not that great. But mostly this creep is just for the toughness aura. But yeah, this is more of a creep that you might get in the start, laning phase, get some extra armor to help your lane, but it's not that powerful. More powerful early game creep is the Hellbear Smasher. This one has 2 abilities. First of all, has the Thunderclap ability, which does a slow and 150 points of magic damage for just 50 mana, so that's quite efficient. Good farming ability and can really help you out in the early game. And then also has the Swiftness aura, 15% attack speed. Not that important in the early game, but this is an ability that sort of allows this creep to scale a bit better into the mid game. But generally in the mid game there are better creeps to have. All this is of course quite powerful together for farming. Another powerful early game creep is the Sato Tormenter, the Hadouken creep. This one unfortunately is level 6, so you need level 3 in Devour before you can actually take this one over. So this one has 2 abilities, has the Shockwave, which does 160 points of magic damage, which is quite powerful. Also has a very long range, so you can see the targeting range is only up to here, but if I target it here, it will actually still hit this target. It goes all the way up to here, so very long range. Costs 100 mana, so that's not very cheap, but it's definitely something you can use to some extent. Then it also has the Unholy Aura, which gives you 5 health regen per second in an aura. So this is a very powerful creep to have at the start. Unfortunately, as I said, it requires level 3 in Devour, so you can no longer take this at level 1, which you could in the past. But even at level 5, it's still quite powerful to have this aura. And the other level 6 creep is our friend the Darkclaw Summoner. Darkclaw Summoner has 2 abilities. First one is Ensnare, which is a root which lasts for 1.75 seconds. So that's quite powerful for just 75 mana. And also has the Raise Dead ability, which if I kill this little hellbear here, I get some skeletons, and then I can use this ability and gain 2 skeletons, which are actually quite powerful in terms of their attack damage. They have 24 damage each and a 1 second base attack time. So these two combined do quite a bit of DPS. So it's actually a decent farming ability. Although you have to watch out that they're quite fragile and not very fast. So if you're low on disable in sort of the late laning stage, early mid game, this can be a useful creep to have. Although there's usually better options. And our final basic creep is the Centaur Conqueror. This one has the Stomp ability, no other abilities, but it's a 2-second stun or a 3-second stun on creeps. So this is very powerful in combination with a Blink Dagger. Before you get to Blink Dagger, it's not actually that powerful because it's not that easy to actually land a Stomp. But once you have Blink, this is very powerful. Like, this is actually this ability is one of the primary reasons why Blink is such a popular item on Doom. Like, Blink is also good in terms of getting off good Dooms, but it's like Blink Stomp is so powerful, a really strong mid-game fighting ability. But generally after the laning phase, these three are the most important creeps you want to look out for. Alpha Wolf, the Ogre Frost Mage, and the Sato Conqueror. So if you don't have a Blink Dagger yet, and it's sort of the early mid-game, probably the Ogre Frost Mage is your best bet in most games. Then once you have a Blink Dagger, you want to get that Sato Conqueror, and then possibly in a late game you're going to switch over to an Alpha Wolf, especially if you have heroes that really benefit from that. So heroes like Morphling, like Drow, like Terrorblades benefit a lot from the Alpha Wolf, whereas heroes like Klinks or PA don't benefit too much from Alpha Wolf because they don't have that much base damage, they mostly have bonus damage. And of course sometimes you're going to have lineups that just don't rely that much on right clicks, and then Alpha Wolf is also not that powerful. Also of course Alpha Wolf is really powerful if you have more the summon based lineups. You have heroes like Lycan on your lineup or Beastmaster. These also really benefit from the Alpha Wolf. And then at level 20 you have the choice between two very powerful talents. The first is Devour, can target Ancients. The second one is plus 30 Doom DPS. So plus 30 DPS is quite powerful. It's basically like having a level 5 Doom, because Doom gets plus 15 damage per second from each level up. Doesn't reduce cooldown, doesn't increase duration, it's only plus 15 DPS. So that's a really powerful talent. But the other talent is also quite powerful. So what do we actually get from Ancients? There's only 3 Ancients that have some sort of ability to being takeover, but they're quite powerful. Let's start with the weakest one. There's the Ancient Granite Golem, which has an aura which gives you plus 15% bonus health, which is quite useful, but a bit overshadowed by other things. Honestly, something like the Alpha Wolf is probably better than that. But these other two are much more powerful than the humble Alpha Wolf. So first of all, you have the Ancient Black Dragon in its natural form. It has 3 abilities: the Fireball, the Splash Attack, and the Dragonhide Aura. So Dragonhide Aura is a 3 armor aura. Unfortunately, if you take them over, we only have 2 slots here, so we don't actually get the aura, but we get the Fireball and we get the Splash Attack. And so this is a very powerful farming creep. You can think of a Fireball as something like a Macropyre in a circle. There's a lot of damage, so it can kill a creep wave on its own if it stands still. So it goes for quite a long time, and it has a 10-second duration, 10-second cooldown, so you can always spam these out. They're actually quite powerful in team fights, and as I said, really strong for farming, especially with that Splash Attack too. You get some splash damage, so this one allows you to farm really fast. But then the most promising one is really the Ancient Thunderhead. This again has 3 abilities: the Frenzy ability, War Drum's Aura, and the Slam. We don't get the Slam, but we don't want that anyway. We want the first 2. So this one is a very powerful buff, 75 bonus attack speeds. We can just spam this on our carry, or can also cast it on ourselves to give us a lot of extra attack speed. So we can attack really fast with that. And then also has secondary aura, which this gives us another 25 bonus attack speed. So in total, you can give your carry 100 attack speed with these 2 bonuses. Then also it has an accuracy aura. So if you're dealing with evasion, it's a 40% chance of hitting anyway. So similar to what an MKB would give you. MKB gives you 75% accuracy. This aura gives you 40%, so still pretty powerful. And of course also, it's because an aura also applies to any sort of creeps you might have on your team. If you have something like a Beastmaster or a Lycan or a Visage on your team, they're really going to appreciate having this aura if you're dealing with evasion heroes. So definitely give this level 20 talent a try, but in most games you probably still want to go for the Doom DPS, but it can be very powerful if you have sort of hero that really benefits from this Thunderhead. And if you have some sort of hard carry on your team, like a Terrorblade for example, this just might be the spell to go for. This has been all the creeps that have abilities. Of course, there are other creeps, but they have no sort of abilities that you can take over. You're just going to keep the old abilities. You take over one of these creeps, same as with the lane creeps. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this has given you some more confidence when playing Doom. And if you like this video, please share it with some of your friends. And please subscribe for lots of up-to-date Dota 2 content, primarily on micro-based heroes and creep-based heroes. And if this video has inspired a new appreciation of creeps in you, maybe it can interest you in playing Chen. I have a video where I go over all the creeps and how to use them as Chen, so go and watch that one next. And all those willing, I'll see you there.